Let me tell you something right off the bat. Not everyone is going to see your worth. Some people won't appreciate you no matter how much you give, how hard you work, or how real you are. And you know what? That's not your problem. Too many people walk around begging for approval, shrinking themselves to fit into someone else's idea of enough. They waste years trying to prove they're worthy of love, respect, opportunity. But let me hit you with some truth. You got to understand, people see you through the lens of their own limitations. Their doubt has nothing to do with your potential. Their silence doesn't diminish your voice. Their indifference doesn't mean you're invisible. David Goggins says it best. It be uncommon among uncommon people. That means stop trying to fit into rooms that weren't built for your level. You weren't made to be understood by everyone. You were made to lead, to evolve, to set a new standard. Not everyone will recognize your value. Some people will overlook you, misunderstand you, criticize you, or straight up ignore you. And that's okay. It's not a reflection of who you are. It's a reflection of what they can't see. The biggest mistake you can make is to let someone else's limited perception become your internal truth. When you allow their opinions to shape your reality, you start shrinking yourself to fit inside their version of you. You second guess your strength. You hold back your voice. You question your worth. And slowly, you start becoming a watered down version of who you were meant to be. All because you gave too much weight to someone who doesn't even carry your story. Let's be real. People will always have something to say. Some of them are watching you through the lens of jealousy. Others are stuck in their own pain and project it onto you. And some people are just not built to understand someone like you, someone who's still chasing greatness, someone who refuses to settle. That's not on you. That's on them. David Goggins didn't become who he is by asking for permission or waiting for people to believe in him. He didn't care if people thought he was crazy for running on broken legs or pushing through pain. He knew who he was. He created his own reality through action, discipline, and relentless belief. And that's what you've got to do. You've got to decide who you are, not let the world decide for you. Understand this. Your value is not up for debate. It's not determined by your job title, your followers, your relationship status, or how many people clap for you. It's not measured by the people who walked away, the ones who doubted you, or the ones who didn't show up when you needed them. Your value comes from within. It comes from how you show up, how you persevere, how you treat people, and how you refuse to quit when life tries to break you. Too many people spend their lives trapped in someone else's narrative. They stay small because someone once told them they weren't good enough, and they believed it. They gave up on dreams because someone laughed, and they took it personally. They buried their ambition because someone close to them didn't understand it. But here's the thing. You don't need their validation to be valuable. You don't need their applause to keep going. You don't need them to get it, to keep building it. The most dangerous thing you can do is give someone else the pen and let them write your story. You're the author. You decide the plot. You decide the pace. You decide the ending. Other people's opinions are just background noise. Let them talk while you work. And when they don't believe in you, when they look at you like you're not enough, let that fuel you. Let that light a fire. Let that be your reminder that you've still got work to do. Not to prove them wrong, but to prove yourself right. Because here's the truth. You already know who you are. You already know what you're capable of. Deep down, you feel it. That calling, that hunger, that drive has been with you the whole time. You don't need anyone to co-sign that. You don't need the world to confirm it. You just need to own it, unapologetically. The people who once overlooked you, one day they'll say, I always knew you could do it. But you'll know the truth. You did it without them. You did it when no one clapped. You did it when they talked down. You did it when you were tired, alone, and full of doubt. That's when you kept going. And that's what makes you dangerous. So stop looking for signs that you're enough and enough. You already are. Stop replaying their words in your head. They're not living your life. You are. Stop thinking you have to prove your worth to people who don't even respect their own. The world will try to put you in a box. Break the box. Burn it if you have to. You weren't made to be understood by everyone. You were made to rise, to stretch, to evolve, to become something greater than what they ever imagined. Stop explaining yourself. Stop feeling like you owe everyone a reason for why you are the way you are, why you dream the way you dream, why you grind the way you grind, Why you walk away from people, situations, or conversations that don't match your energy? You don't. Too many people out here are stuck in the cycle of over-explaining, constantly justifying why they choose to go after something different, why they no longer settle, why they don't respond the way they used to, and they end up exhausted, not from the work, but from constantly trying to convince people who've already made up their minds. Here's the truth. Not everyone is going to get you. Not everyone is meant to. And not everyone deserves access to your mindset, your decisions, or your energy. You don't need to unpack every move you make to make others feel comfortable. You don't have to slow down your progress just so someone else can keep up. You don't have to keep watering down your truth to avoid offending people who never wanted to understand you in the first place. Look, when you're growing, when you're leveling up mentally, spiritually, physically, people will start to question you. They'll ask why you're changing, why you're distancing, why you're choosing the hard road, why you're doing things that make no sense to them. And you'll feel tempted to stop and explain, because the minute you start explaining, you start negotiating, you start making room for their fears in your vision. You start opening the door to their doubt, and it walks right in, uninvited, and sits in your mind rent-free. You don't need that. You don't have time for that. You've got a mission. You've got things to build, battles to fight, and old versions of yourself to destroy. And that requires full focus, not validation. That requires ownership, not approval. You don't owe anyone an explanation for why you chose discipline over distraction, peace over drama, or progress over comfort. You just owe it to yourself to stay locked in. David Goggins didn't get to where he is by explaining his every move. He didn't write a PowerPoint for people who thought he was crazy for waking up at 4 a.m. to run ultra distances, or for pushing himself beyond pain and breaking points. He just did the work. He lived the discipline. He became the proof. You don't have to say a word when your results do the talking. That's the secret right there. Results. Let your work speak for itself. Let your growth speak for itself. Let your silence speak louder than any long-winded justification ever could. When you're really about it, about your vision, about your value, about your evolution, you don't need to broadcast explanations. You just show up differently. People will either recognize it or they'll remove themselves. Either way, you win. The ones who genuinely respect you, they won't require a script. They'll see your effort, feel your integrity, and honor your space. The rest, let them watch. Let them speculate. Let them get uncomfortable. Because your truth doesn't need their understanding. It just needs your commitment. And here's something else. The need to explain usually comes from fear. Fear of being judged, misunderstood, or abandoned. But those are fears you gotta face. Because if someone walks away because you chose to grow, they were never for you in the first place. If someone needs a 3-page essay every time you enforce a boundary, they're not looking for connection. They're looking for control. Free yourself from that. You don't need their permission to evolve. You don't need their approval to say no. You don't need their support to chase something bigger. All you need is a spine, a mission, and a relentless work ethic. And I know you've got all three. Start practicing the power of silence, the power of self-respect, the power of showing, not telling. Because when you stop explaining, you start reclaiming your time, your energy, your authority over your own life. That's when you move differently. You walk with a little more purpose, a little more clarity, and a whole lot more peace. People who really value you won't need a breakdown every time you level up. They'll clap for you in silence. They'll cheer you on without needing to understand every detail. And they'll stay out of your way when it's time to grind. So let go of the need to be understood by those who choose confusion. Let go of the need to be liked by people who only love versions of you that keep them comfortable. And let go of the urge to shrink your truth just to keep the peace. Because your peace matters too. Your life is yours. The vision is yours. The grind is yours. The breakthroughs are yours. And the weight of it all, that's yours too. So stop handing pieces of it out in the form of explanations. Carry it, own it, become. There comes a point in your life when you've got to stop begging to be seen, to be heard, to be valued. You've got to stop pouring your time, energy, and heart into spaces that drain you, into people who take and never give, into situations that keep you stuck, small, and second-guessing yourself. And when you hit that point, there's only one thing to do. Walk away, but not empty. Walk away with your power, See, walking away isn't weakness. It's not quitting. It's not giving up. That's what they want you to think. That's what the world tells you, is stay loyal, stick it out, be the bigger person. But let's get one thing straight. Loyalty is only powerful when it's mutual. When it's not, it becomes self-destruction. And the bigger person isn't the one who stays in toxic environments, hoping things will change. The bigger person is the one who realizes they deserve better and moves on. You've got to understand this. Staying somewhere you're not respected doesn't prove your strength. It only proves how willing you are to betray yourself. And that's not strength. That's silence. That's self-abandonment. That's handing over your power to people who don't know what to do with it. When you stay in places that don't value you, you start to dim. You start to shrink. You start to internalize the disrespect. You start questioning your worth. And worst of all, you start adapting to mistreatment like it's normal. That's not normal. That's not love. That's not growth. That's survival. And you were not born to just survive. You were born to thrive, to lead, to walk with your head high and your soul unshaken. But walking away takes guts. It takes clarity. It takes the kind of courage most people run from, because it's not just about leaving. It's about releasing. Releasing the version of you that needed their validation. Releasing the hope that they would change. Releasing the fantasy of what it could have been if they had just treated you right. That's the hard part. Not the goodbye, but detachment from what you wished it could be. Still, you've got to do it. Because every time you stay where you're not valued, you're saying yes to being less than you are. And every yes as you get to the wrong thing is a no to the right thing trying to find you. Let that sink in. When you walk away with your power, it means you're not walking away bitter. You're walking away better. You're not walking away to prove a point. You're walking away because you finally got the point. You don't need to slam doors or set things on fire. You don't even need closure, because your peace is the closure. Your healing is the closure. Your silence, your absence, your refusal to settle, that is the closure. There's strength in that kind of walk. That quiet, deliberate, powerful exit. When you know who you are and what you bring, you stop auditioning. You stop chasing people to treat you right. You stop trying to earn space where your presence should have always been enough. You simply rise and you walk. Head up, soul intact. Let them talk. Let them be confused. Let them wonder what happened. You don't owe them a breakdown of your boundaries. You don't owe them access to your peace just because they once had access to your pain. They didn't respect it when they had it. They don't deserve it now. And don't expect applause when you leave. Don't expect them to suddenly see your worth once you're gone. Sometimes they never will, and that's okay. Your healing isn't dependent on their realization. Your worth isn't tied to their awareness. You walk away not because they finally understood, but because you finally did. You finally understood that staying would cost you more than leaving. That waiting for them to change was costing you time you'll never get back. That trying to fix what's broken was breaking you in the process. You finally realize you're not meant to carry relationships that feel one-sided, Dill. You're not meant to constantly explain why you deserve love, respect, loyalty, and effort. That's basic. That's the minimum. From this moment on, protect your power. Protect your energy like it's gold, because it is. Don't hand it out to anyone who hasn't earned it. Don't dim it for anyone who feels threatened by it. And don't waste it proving to people who've already shown you they don't care. You've got too much to build, too much to become, too much fire in you to be sitting in places that can't handle your heat. So walk away, but don't crawl. Don't tiptoe. Don't tiptoe. Don't apologize. Walk strong. Walk sure. Walk knowing that everything you leave behind is making space for everything that's ahead. That's not weakness. That's power. That's growth. That's real self-respect. So when the time comes, and you know when it does, don't stay small just to make them feel big. Don't keep giving chances to people who've already cashed them out. And don't keep proving your worth to people who've already made the choice not to see it. Walk away with your power. With your power, and never look back. If they don't value you, fine. If they don't recognize your worth, good. If they overlook you, doubt you, underestimate you, perfect. That's your fuel. That's your opportunity. Because now you've got a mission. Make yourself unignorable. This world doesn't hand out recognition. It doesn't hand out respect. It doesn't just give success to the ones who deserve it. It gives it to the ones who demand it through relentless action. You want to be seen? Be undeniable. Be Be the kind of person that can't be ignored. Not because you're loud, not because you're begging for attention, but because your consistency, your focus, your results scream louder than any words ever could. Too many people spend their lives trying to be like, trying to fit in, trying to get noticed by people who aren't even paying attention. That's a losing game. You don't need to be like, you need to be respected. You need to be known for what you bring to the table. And if there's no table, build your own. Let them see you working, building, grinding when no one else is watching. That's where greatness is born. In the silence, in the shadows, when nobody's clapping and you still show up like the whole world's watching. Be so good they can't ignore you. That's not a motivational quote. Free. That's a strategy. It means showing up on days you feel invisible. It means working on your craft like it's your lifeline. It means being disciplined when no one is checking, when no one is validating you, when nobody's asking how you're doing. Because deep down, you what you're capable of. And you're not going to rest until the world knows it too. David Goggins didn't become Goggins by seeking approval. He became a savage by pushing through pain, by setting insane standards for himself, by doing what most people won't over and over again. He became unignorable because he mastered his own mind, because he refused to be ordinary, because he became a living example of what happens when you stop making excuses and start making decisions. And you can do the same. You don't need their applause. You don't need their support. You need a standard and the discipline to stick to it. You need a fire so strong inside you that it burns louder than their silence. You need to be so committed to your growth that people eventually have no choice but to notice. You become unignorable when your presence is felt, not forced. When you walk into a room and your energy speaks before you do, not because you're trying to prove something, but because you are something. You've put in the reps, you've done the work, you've earned the weight behind your words. That's real power. That's the kind of presence you build in private and carry in public. But here's the hard truth. This doesn't happen overnight. Making yourself unignorable takes time. It takes sacrifice. It takes walking away from comfort, from mediocrity, from quick dopamine hits and surface level validation. It takes falling in love with boredom, with repetition, with the grind that no one sees. You're not chasing a highlight reel. You're building legacy. So while they sleep, you work. While they talk, you execute. While they doubt, you build. And little by little, your name starts to carry weight. Not because you forced it, but because you earned it. Because the results became too loud to ignore. It's not about being perfect. It's about being relentless. It's about showing up every single day, even when it's inconvenient, uncomfortable, or unrewarded. That's what separates the remembered from the forgotten. That's what separates the respected from the overlooked. And when you finally start to get noticed, don't let that be your finish line. Let it be fuel. Let it remind you of everything you had to do in silence. The nights you stayed up, the mornings you dragged yourself out of bed, the sacrifices no one saw. Let that be your edge. Stay sharp. Stay dangerous. Because the moment you get comfortable is the moment you start fading again. This isn't about ego. This is about owning your lane so fully that nobody can take it from you. You become the standard. You become the example. You stop chasing validation and start setting the tone. That's what happens when you make yourself unignorable. You stop reacting to the world, and the world starts reacting to you. So whatever it is you do, whether you're an artist, an athlete, a leader, a builder, a dreamer, be so good, so precise, so locked in that when people talk about who's the best, your name has to come up. Not because you said it, but because you proved it. Don't just exist. Don't just be there. Don't wait for someone to see your value. Get so far in your purpose, so committed to your excellence, that even your silence echoes. Make yourself unignorable. Not for them, for you. At the end of the day, you've got one job. Stay locked in on your mission. That's it. That's the key. That's how you rise above disrespect, silence the doubters, and protect your peace. Because when people don't value you, when they overlook you, when they talk behind your back or treat you like you're disposable, it's easy to get distracted, easy to start overthinking, easy to fall into the trap of trying to make them see you. But let's be honest, that's wasted energy, and that's noise. And noise is the enemy of greatness. You weren't put here to win their approval. You weren't built to live small, to wait for recognition, or to spend your time explaining your worth to people committed to misunderstanding you. You were built for something bigger, a mission, a calling. And the only way you'll ever fully step into it is if you stop feeding the noise and start feeding the vision. People will always talk. They'll criticize, doubt, dismiss, question, compare. Let them. That's their job. Your job to keep moving, keep building, keep sharpening your craft, keep doing what you were meant to do. Whether they clap or not, you don't need their applause. You need your focus, because focus is your power. It's your armor. It's what keeps you grounded when everything around you tries to shake you. Think about it. Every minute you spend trying to prove your worth to someone is a minute stolen from your purpose. Every time you let the disrespect get into your head, you're slowing your momentum. And if you give too much of your energy to the wrong things, the wrong people, the wrong distractions, you'll look up one day and realize you veered off course. And the worst part, they won't even care. The ones who didn't value you will keep moving. But you'll be the one who's lost time, lost fire, lost focus. So don't let them have that kind of power over you. Don't let their opinions, their silence, or their lack of vision interfere with yours. Stay locked in. Stay mission-minded. Let your actions speak louder than their assumptions. Let your consistency silence the noise, because that's what real winners do. They don't get caught up in petty battles. They don't fight to be seen. They don't stop every time someone throws shade. They stay on task. They stay in motion. And the beautiful part, when you focus on the mission long enough, the noise starts to fade. What once felt loud and personal starts to sound distant and irrelevant, because you're not on their level anymore. You're not playing small. You're not stuck in the cycle of needing people to get it. So you got your eyes on something higher, your vision, your goals, your purpose. It's not easy. Some days the noise will be loud. You'll feel the pull to respond, to defend, to get distracted by what people are saying or not saying. But that's when you dig deeper. That's when you remind yourself greatness isn't built on emotion. It's built on discipline, grit, clarity, reps over and over again. You show up, you execute, you build, even when it's quiet, even when it's lonely, even when no one's watching. And here's the truth they won't tell you. The ones who didn't value you, they'll notice when you stop showing up for them. They'll notice when you disappear from their chaos. They'll notice when your focus turns inward and your energy stops being available. And eventually they'll realize what they lost. But by then, you'll be so deep into your purpose, so elevated in your mindset that you won't even feel the need to look back. Because by that point, you'll understand the real win wasn't proving them wrong. It was staying true to yourself. It was protecting your focus. It was choosing your mission over the noise. That's what high-level people do. They don't entertain every distraction. They don't let the outside world dictate their inner world. They stay locked in on their why and let the rest take care of itself. So whatever your mission is, personal growth, building something, healing, creating, leading, impacting, go all in, tunnel vision, protect it, prioritize it. Every day, ask yourself, is this moving me closer to my purpose or pulling me away from? That question alone can save you from 1,000 distractions and 1,000,000 wasted emotions. You owe it to yourself to keep going. Not for them, not to prove a point, but because your mission matters. Because your future depends on your ability to stay focused. Because everything you're trying to build, the peace, the success, the strength, the life, is on the other side of consistency. And you don't get that by reacting to noise. You get that by being relentless. So let them talk. Let them doubt. Let them walk away. You're not here for them. You're here for something bigger, something unshakable, something only you can see and only you can build. Stay focused. Stay locked in. The noise will fade. But your mission, that's forever. There's a level of quiet confidence that comes with real success, a type of power that needs no explanation, no boasting, no validation. The greatest measure of your worth, your effort, and your journey is the success you create, not the noise you make around it. Let your success speak for itself. It doesn't need to be announced, paraded, or justified. The world will see it in the results you produce, in the person you become, and in the way your life begins to shift in ways others can't ignore. You don't need to explain how hard you work. You don't need to defend your decisions or convince people to believe in your vision. When you're truly aligned with your purpose, when you're committed to your path, your success becomes undeniable. It speaks in volumes without uttering a single word. It shows in the progress you make, the obstacles you overcome, and the impact you have on the world around you. That's where your value is. Not in the praise you chase, not in the approval of others, but in what you accomplish when no one's watching. When the hustle is silent, and when the results begin to shine. Too many people feel the need to constantly talk about what they're doing, to announce every step, to seek attention for their efforts. But real power, it doesn't need to be shouted from the rooftops. It doesn't need to be hyped. It doesn't need to be made into a spectacle. Real power is in the consistency, the grit, the quiet discipline that eventually manifests into something undeniable. You don't need to convince people you're succeeding. You don't need to explain why you're capable. If your actions, your work ethic, and your results don't speak for you, then nothing else will. The temptation to prove yourself, to constantly defend your worth, comes from a lack of self-trust. But when you trust in your process, when you know you're putting in the work, when you see the growth happening behind the scenes, that need to seek external validation fades. You don't need the world to see your struggle. You don't need them to know every step you've taken to get where you are. Your success will speak louder than any explanation ever could. People who talk about their greatness usually haven't found it yet. Those who are truly great don't feel the need to announce it. They let their success do the talking because they understand the power of letting their work, their results, and their impact speak for itself. When you're truly in your element, when you've mastered your craft, when you're operating at your highest level, others will notice. And it won't be because you told them. It will be because your presence alone commands attention. Your confidence is seen in your actions, not in your words. When you're deeply invested in your own journey, when you're committed to your own growth, you stop worrying about what people think. You stop caring about the opinions of those who don't understand your vision. Your focus shifts completely. It becomes about the process, about the small steps, the daily wins, the steady progress. And when the results start to show, that's when people start asking questions. That's when the world takes notice. But you know what? You don't have to give them an answer. You don't have to explain how you did it or why you're doing it. Your success is your answer. Your journey is your response. The way you show up, the way you walk, the way you live, that's all the explanation anyone needs. You've spent countless hours developing yourself, sharpening your skills, and putting in the work. You don't even want a breakdown of how you got here. They'll figure it out when they see the results, and if they don't, that's on them. Because at the end of the day, your mission, your progress, and your success are for you, not for the approval of anyone else. The energy it takes to constantly explain yourself, to justify your actions, to fight for validation, that energy is better spent on your mission. That energy should be poured into creating more value, achieving bigger things, and staying focused on the path you've chosen. People will talk, people will doubt, people will question, but you're not here to answer to them. You're here to answer to yourself, to the vision you have for your life, to the person you're becoming. And when the time is right, when you put in the work and reach the milestones, they'll see, they'll recognize, they'll know. And that's when you'll know that every bit of effort, every sacrifice, every silent struggle you went through to get to this point was worth it. So let them doubt. Let them question your choices. Let them wonder how you're doing it. Your success will speak for you. And when it does, it will do so in a way that requires no words. People will see the results in your life. They'll see the confidence, the clarity, the power that radiates from your presence, and they'll understand. Not because you told them, but because your journey, your accomplishments, your success are undeniable. It's not about arrogance. It's not about showing off. It's about understanding that you are on a mission, and that mission doesn't need anyone's approval or permission. Your success is your proof. Let it speak for you. Let it drown out the noise. Let it become the undeniable testimony of your hard work, your dedication, and your refusal to settle for less. When your success speaks for itself, you'll realize the greatest victory wasn't in the applause you thought you needed. It was in the quiet confidence you built in the process. It was in the moments when no one was watching, when you stayed the course, and when you kept your eyes fixed on the bigger picture. And that's the kind of success that lasts. The kind that doesn't need to be explained because it's already been proven. Humility is a quality that can carry you far. It helps you stay grounded when success comes, keeps you open to learning, and maintains your focus on the journey rather than the ego. But there's a fine line between humility and allowing others to forget your worth. Humility doesn't mean you need to shrink yourself or make yourself smaller for anyone. It doesn't mean letting people walk over you, taking advantage of your kindness or talents. It means knowing exactly who you are and never needing to prove it to anyone. Oh, your value isn't up for debate, and you don't need to shout it from the rooftops to make sure people recognize it. But at the same time, you should never let anyone dismiss or diminish your worth. The mistake that too many people make, especially when they're starting to grow or achieve success, is thinking that being humble means remaining invisible. They think that staying humble means letting others dictate how much space you occupy, how loudly your voice is heard, or how much recognition you get. This is a trap. Humility is not about playing small. It's about understanding that your worth doesn't need constant validation, but it also doesn't mean letting others devalue you. When you're truly humble, you're secure enough in yourself to stand tall. You understand that there's nothing to prove. But at the same time, you're not afraid to step in your power and let others know you're capable, talented, and deserving of respect. Humility allows you to work in silence, to put in the work without needing constant applause. It teaches you that not every accomplishment needs a celebration. But humility should never make you feel like you have to shrink yourself to fit into someone else's expectations. Staying humble doesn't mean you downplay your strengths. It doesn't mean letting others ignore the work you put in, the obstacles you've overcome, or the talents you bring to the table. Instead, humility is about having the quiet confidence to walk in your own power without needing to explain it to anyone. It's about knowing your worth, trusting in your abilities, and never allowing someone else to minimize it. Sometimes people will try to make you feel small. Maybe it's because they're insecure. Maybe it's because they don't understand the work it took to get to where you are. Maybe it's because they've never seen anyone like you before, and it makes them uncomfortable. Whatever the reason, don't let it affect you. Don't let their lack of understanding or their need to tear you down convince you that you're not worthy of what you've worked for. Stay humble, but make sure no one forgets your worth. Let your actions, your presence, and your success speak loudly enough that no one can ignore what you bring to the table. Humility doesn't mean you dim your light. It means you shine without being boastful. There's a big difference. And being humble doesn't mean that you have to apologize for your greatness. It means you don't flaunt it or use it to make others feel less than. You simply exist in your truth, and your worth becomes undeniable. The quiet confidence that comes from knowing you don't need validation is magnetic. Boom. It's the kind of energy that makes people respect you, even if they don't always agree with you. It's the kind of strength that makes people take notice because they see someone who is fully aligned with their purpose and their potential. And that's what true power looks like. Not arrogance, not insecurity, but a deep-rooted sense of knowing who you are and what you're capable of. When you walk in your purpose, your success will speak for you. You don't have to fight for recognition because the world will eventually catch up. Your dedication will be evident in the results you produce. But while that success might take time, don't let that be the reason you stay silent or hide your abilities. Stay humble, yes, but don't let that humility stop you from making your mark. Don't let people forget what you're capable of. You have the right to be proud of your achievements, to stand tall in your power, and to let people know that you've earned everything you've achieved. Humility doesn't require you to hide your greatness. It simply means you don't let your greatness overshadow the things that really matter, your purpose, your mission, and your heart. In a world where so many are loud and desperate for attention, there's something incredibly powerful about someone who can remain calm, focused, and steady in their own worth. You don't need to force anyone to see your value. You don't need to chase people's approval. What you do need to do is show up consistently, relentlessly, and unapologetically in your greatness. Be humble in your actions, but don't let that prevent you from standing up for yourself when the time comes. Don't allow people to take your worth lightly. You've worked too hard for it, and it deserves to be seen and respected. Humility doesn't mean that you don't show your strengths. It simply means you don't need to flaunt them. Let your work, Your results and your actions demonstrate your power. Let people see your value without you having to say a word. The more you grow, the more you'll encounter people who want to tell you how you should behave or what you should do. Don't get caught up in that. Stay true to your mission and let your success do the talking. Your worth will never be defined by someone else's perception of you. It's defined by how you show up for yourself, by how you keep pushing forward, and by how much you stay committed to your own journey. So let the world see your greatness, but do it with the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you don't need their approval. Walk through this life humbly, but let no one forget what you're truly capable of. For